to Down Your Unders. Down Your Unders. Review and dissection of content from some of the sharpest minds in the game. Hosted by Adam Camilleri. Art of War. Down Under.
Hello, you lovely denizens of the warp. My name's Adam Camilleri, and welcome to Art of War Down Under. This may be a little bit of a sloppier, a little bit of a ragged, haggard episode. As you can tell by my voice, it's not quite up to par. I have just come home from the Australian Team Championships, and we're going to smash out an episode reviewing the points changes to the Munitorum Field Manual. And I know almost all of you probably know all of this already, but sometimes you just have to make the content that's in front of you. And it will be entertaining, I assure you, because I am joined by one of my favorite lads, the dustiest of boys, Dustin Henshaw. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? I feel like I should be playing Thousand Suns the amount of times you introduced me as that.
You absolutely should. This is you're missing your calling, I think.
No, I'm bald. My army's bald. I'm right where I need to be.
Hey, Dust is also bald.
Hey, wait, I think that's a stretch, but I'll go with it.
That doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to assert that.
Okay.
Yeah. Man. Anyway, this will be a two-part podcast. The first part comes out Tuesday mornings. Thank you so much, Seamus, for all your review work for us over these 194 episodes, closing in on 200 pretty soon, which is absolutely buck wild. Part two this week is going to be a solo episode with myself. If you want to join us over on Patreon at Art of War Down Under, I'm literally going to be talking through every single one of my games at the Australian Team Championship that I just went to. What I played, why, how I went round by round. There's actually a lot to talk about there. There's some good, some bad, and some very interesting. So hopefully you'll join us over there. Usually I do a part 3 for my patrons only, which is called Adam's Short Shorts, which the patrons named. Don't worry, I did not do that. And there's no pictures of me in
I
short
love
shorts.
it. I think that's great. I don't know why you're upset about
that. It's hilarious. But usually that's a patrons only like live vlog that I do, whenever I've gone to an event, what I took, why, how'd I do, what I think, etc. So I'm going to do an extended episode for the part 2 of this one. It's probably going to be 45 to an hour. So if you're interested in that, come over and join us. There is definitely a lot to discuss. My man, Dusty Boy, a Munitorum Field Manual of April 2024. What are your hot takes?
Hot takes. Guard got bad touched in the right places. Maybe a little too much just because they didn't get any real buffs to anything, if that makes any sense. I do really like what they did to GSC. Unfortunately, I've discovered how I like to play GSC now, or the way it is, and it's not at all what they reduced in points. So,
yep,
that's a thing. Eldar is going to change again, but they're not out of the meta. They never are. Doesn't matter how much you change their points, they'll always find a way to make it work. I don't think it's going to be changing much in the meta at all, to be honest, because the codexes will change it. Points this time around, not so much, because the only reason Custodes will drop a little bit in the meta, but by a little bit, I mean probably a lot more.
Yeah.
Because of their codex.
Correct.
But everything else, like Necrons did not. They got off easy. They got off so easy.
Very easy. There are very good. I saw a bunch of Necron lists recently that didn't run any Catan, and some that were even lighter on the race, even though I don't think that's the right way to go. But we will talk about each faction in turn. We are lovingly using and wielding the stat check drive document there, Excel spreadsheet for the points changes. We're going to run through every faction, and then we're going to ask ourselves 3 questions. Did they get better? Did they get worse? And what do they look like now for every single faction? We won't be going necessarily into the minutia of what exactly went up, what exactly went down, but we will when it's very relevant. Like if it is the best models in your faction, we will talk to those. Those are the 3 basic questions we're going to ask of every faction. We're going to work our way through. So stay tuned for yours once we get to it. If you are just sitting here with bated breath being like, what are they going to say about AdMech, etc. Adeptus Sororitas is the first on the plate. So they have had some changes. Arcoflagellants up. Sacrosanct down, Crusaders up. Thank God Crusaders went up. But with all these changes, because we see a little bit Mortifiers, Pennant Engines down, and Triumph up again, it's like the third hit to the Triumph, just like bang, every single MFN. Hit her again. And Sisters of Players like, shut up, we're still going to take it. What do you think about Sisters? Did they get better, worse, and what do they look like now?
I mean, they're not much better, obviously. The Arcoflagellant's hit is going to make a difference. Not a huge difference, but it's going to make a difference. Like the Sisters players are going to feel it because they were already kind of stretched with what they were bringing in their list, because there are a lot of MSU, right? So
insane
usually
levels of MSU.
MSU.
I honestly think they stay about the same level
Yeah,
of the same level.
the Crusaders going down or going up, that needed to happen because
It did.
God, I was sick of those cheap little. Oh, you have to
Oh,
attack me units
with a 4-up invuln as
with
well.
a 4-up invuln.
Yeah, it's so obnoxious.
I have actually fired an exocrine into one because I had
Yep.
to
Yep.
and
Yep.
didn't kill it.
Yep.
So
They're
infuriating.
so frustrating. I mean, I love seeing them when I pull no prisoners off the top of the deck, but apart from that, they
Of
can go
course.
they can go straight to hell. I do really like the changes to the mortifiers and the pennant engines. I actually think single morties and single pennant engines are really good, and I would not be surprised to see those start to come in. There's I can't remember if it's the penny or the morty, but one of them has an extremely good tank shock. Just as a little 55-point nonsense, takes a lot more points than 55 points to remove little problem unit. I think they're sick. Like one or two of those of each, or whichever one makes the more sense to you, might be something we start seeing in a lot of lists. I actually don't think it's 30 Arco Flages anymore, though. I actually think it's probably 20.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's an easy change, right? Because I think
It
a lot
is.
of lists are starting to take that
Yeah.
anyway. So I don't think that's too big of a stretch.
Fair. All right, on to Custodes. And of course, points-wise, they got better, but that's literally where the buck stops. Everything else about this faction, unfortunately, has gotten worse due to their Codex releases. But, they had drops to, a bunch of characters. Hell, the Blade Champion went down, their best character. Knight Centurion went down, who cares? Trajan went down 10 points because he got nerfed at the absolute wazoo in this, one of the worst glow downs that we've seen in a long time. But wouldn't you just be so stoked if you have like a venerable Contemptor Dreadnought, one of the worst posed models of all time? But now it's only 170 points. Oh joy!
You're
Yeah,
just rubbing it in right now. You're just pouring salt all over this open wound of Custodes players.
They need it right now. They need to find solace, and they need to bond with the community because they are feeling left out in the wind. And if I could put a little bit of a smile on one of their faces, I will be very happy with my work.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
they're when all said and done, mate, better, worse, and what do they look like now?
Points wise, better because obviously they got some great point changes there. Like you said, the Venerable Dreads, man. Whew, let's go. But Codex wise, they are. It'll take longer for people to figure out what to do with them now. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to take a long time. I still have some relatively high hopes for some kind of nonsense character hero hammer spam in one of their detachments, because I think it's the only attachment that makes Trajan really viable. But it's a very hard skew list, and it's probably very good or very bad depending on your meta. But either way, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But unfortunately, that's like I think most of the best of what's going for him at the moment, which is a bit sad. Like here's Hero Hammer plus 3 Caladius grab tanks, and maybe I get to play the game. Adeptus Mechanicus, once again, in perpetuity, they are going to get points drops, apparently. Belisarius calls down 30, Castellan Robots down 20, Cataphon Destroyers and Onyx Crawls down 10. Just a bunch of stuff just dropping 10. Oh boy, Ruststalker's down 10. They still don't do anything. Who cares? Rangers down 10, which actually is quite irrelevant. Everyone kind of takes 1 unit of Rangers. Maybe you want to take a second. Who knows? Disintegrator down 10. And Sidonian Scatros. Is that Inspector Gadget?
That sounds like that's that. I never thought of that, and now I'm never going to stop thinking about it. Thanks a lot.
It's Inspector Gadget, 100%. And now things in your head. But I'd make cannot have gotten worse from these changes, right? Because they only got drops.
Yeah, but there was rumors that they're going to actually get like new glowy detachment or something, right? Or something that I heard they're getting something, which is ridiculous because they have a codex.
Yeah,
like they should have got it right with the codex and just dropping points. Obviously, that's not the problem, guys.
Yeah, so I have heard rumors that GW have started, being open to revisiting internal balance post codexes, post indexes, and they've shown that they are willing to do it. I mean, they did what they did with Drakari and Death Guard. They essentially went back and addressed internal balance and literally made those factions playable. And so, yeah, it would be cool for them to do it to a codex. And I think NIDS and more than NIDS, AdMech need some internal balance readdressing. But you cannot deny AdMech got better out of this. What their new list looks like, I mean, is it more destroyers? Do you actually use destroyers? Probably not still. I mean, the things that they went down on aren't kind of relevant, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter because your army was already so ridiculously cheap that you could just have so much nonsense. 10 points on ranges is probably the most impactful one. in all honesty, because that's just like automatic 10 points everyone got in their list because everyone's taking 1 to 2 units of Rangers. I wonder if there is anything going on for Castellan robots in this meta. I don't believe there is. There's just like asking to be mega knobbed in the face.
I want to see them on the table. I really do because I
Yeah.
love those models. But have they been good this edition at all? I don't think they
Nope.
have.
Nope. Not even close to good.
Like, yeah, ninth they were okay. Ninth
Mm.
they had play. 10th they're just they fell off a cliff. And
Well, the
never seen it
biggest issue is that they took their unit size down to just 2 mans. So 2 robots. Whereas when you could take big units, they were worth being a platform to lay combos on. Like you could attach the right characters, put them in the right auras, try and really, you had enough bodies that were worth in, multiplying
right.
via buffs and rerolls and things like that. When it's only 2 and they're 90 points apiece, and you're like, they kind of don't do anything already. And you're telling me I've got to pay another 200 points to even give these guys the option to do something good by, putting combo pieces next to them and attaching characters and whatnot and enhancements. Like, nah, I'm not doing that, man. I'm just going to take more freaking bodies, just bodies. And so, yeah, very much similar to Sisters in that they just take so much stuff. But the problem is none of their stuff does any damage. None of it. Whereas in Sisters, everyone just gets a miracle dice and all of a sudden kills something. So it's wild.
It's true, actually. But the thing is, too, I think AdMech has play in the not necessarily MSU. I don't want to say MSU style, but it kind of is for them because they're so cheap, especially now.
Mm.
But they actually do have some play, and I feel like they should get some. They should get some more love than they've gotten. They really should.
Yeah.
But they're still suffering from their sins of when Flyers were good. Because let's be real, that's
Yeah.
the last time they were oppressive.
They're like an Oath of Moment-esque ability off being very good. Because as soon as you could have fully rolls to hit, their guns would actually they would actually be able to do damage. Like Death by 1,000 Cuts would be a reality for them.
Oh, for sure.
But anyway, Astra Militarum is up next, and move over, buddy. I got this. We got annihilated straight off the cuff. The top guard list in the game. The 2 to 3 units of 6 Bulgrin, 30 Kassakin, 2 Basilisks, 2 Manticores, Lord Solar, blah, 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 blah. That list got hit harder than any other list in the game, any other top list in the game.
By a large margin.
No, it wasn't even, it was, yeah. The best Necron list was similar points. They're in the 120-ish. My best guard list was 135 clear. I think it was 145 even.
Yeah, and the fact that Necrons are winning way more, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is quite absurd. This one is a true head scratcher for me. I do 100% agree with a 10-point increase on Manticores and even 15-point increases on Basilisks, because I'm as a guard player with my hat in my hand saying and agreeing with the community that indirect fire is nonsense and should be absolutely yeeted from the game. I believe indirect fire should be extremely inconsistent and usually be a mechanism for debuffing, not doing damage. Like an Earthshaker is now, like a Basilisk is now. Like make them strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage with a great debuff. Like they're not going to kill things unless you take them, ad nauseum, but then they cost a bunch of points, so you won't do it. But that's what I think their modality should be in the game. Whereas I played 5 indirect pieces at the Australian Team Championships this weekend, and I blew a bunch of armies up, just blew them up, tabled them in 3 or 4 turns, just with shooting indirect and like sometimes a tank commander. It's disgusting and should be part of the game. So I agree with that. What I do not agree with is 20 points being added to the price of Kassakin. I do not agree with 20 points being added to the price of Bulgrin. I think they should have gone up incrementally, if any, because I think those hits are too big. The fact that we are nearly forced to take things like Bulgrin because we don't have any reliable stopping power in combat. If someone is going to rush us with World Eaters, Custodies, etc., advanced and charging armies, there's nothing in our army that is going to make them stop but Bulgrin. So they're a unit that you almost in this meta, in this environment, you are forced to take, let alone going into the freaking Ork meta as well. We have to take this unit. We have to have this unit, and now you're just making us pay 20 more points for the privilege. I think that's a bit rough. I wish they went up 10 points per max squad, so 5 points per thing, and then see how they balance out. And I don't know how bad a bigger problem Kassakin were. I think the bigger problem is the fact that Creed costs 55 points and Leontis is cheap as chips. And I would have much rather see points increases on the ubiquitous, always cannot leave home without characters that supply this army with free units, extra CP, and free CP use. And rather than taxing the units themselves, we have seen legitimate points decreases, though. I love the 10 points less on the Hellhound. I love the points decreases on the Rough Riders. I legitimately think Rough Riders are going to be quite interesting and could be quite good. All the battle tanks going down, all the Limrosses going down. This opens up a very silly skew, though, where we just take like 8-9 Lehman Russ chassis, because you can get a Lehman Russ chassis that's 13 wounds, toughness 11 with a 2-up save for 150 points. You can almost just play like Chaos Knights with Lehman Russes.
Yeah, I've been considering that too, because it could be ridiculous. 'Cause the amount of durability they have with those points is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite absurd what you can get. The chassis that you buy, and every single one of those chassis can shoot, a Las-Cannon 2 multi-melters into combat. If you aren't taking a variant that already shoots into combat, like the Eradicator and the Demolisher. The Eradicator is 150 points, man, shoots into combat. D3 plus 6 shots. It's only string 7 -1 2 damage, but still just shoots into combat. And you just go and bully people with them. Like there is a lot of play here. And my biggest, most favoritist of change, because this is the way I want to play, is Scion squads went down, and so did the command squads went down. So that is, I think, a great new way to play the game. Take out your Cassicans, put in Scions, and continue about your business. And unfortunately, if you want to take indirect, well, man, pay the piper. But overall, a huge nerf, possibly the most nerfed army in the game from this MFM.
Oh, for sure. And it's done with points, not like you said, the way that they should have done it. So
I should have made the characters cost more. Yeah, I don't see why Leontis should be under 100.
Leontis and Creed are so undercosted. It's criminal, but we're instead taxing everything that they enable rather than themselves, which we have to take.
Creed's 55, Leontis is 125. For 175 points, you're telling me I get 2 free CP a turn. I get an extra CP a turn. I get a redeploy. I get 5 orders. Already ridiculous. Already ridiculous. It's already more value than a Primarch, and it's a third the cost for those 2 characters. Anyway, moving on to Eldar. I wish I could say may they rest in peace, but no, they're just kind of fine. Fugin up 15. Guardian Defenders down 10. Howling Banshees down 15. Shining Spears down 20. Never mind. I don't think that touched the sides. Striker Scorpions down 10. The Storm Guardians down 15. Support Weapons up 10. Hawks up 10, up 5. And Spectres up 10. So the MSU nonsense list kind of lost 1 unit of its MSU nonsense. And then you just go about your business once again, as far as I can tell.
That's about right. Yep, that's accurate.
Yeah, so you went from like 18 units of 5 nonsense units to 17. And I don't think it changes much of anything.
Well, I will say that Striking Scorpions is 65 points.
Yes.
That's value.
I think they're interesting, man. I think they're interesting. Banshees, I do not think so. 70 points for Banshees, they still just don't do anything.
Oh, Banshees, I think, should be cheaper than Striking Scorpions. But
me too. Scorpions, I kind of like. Like, they have a bunch of modality. They have a bunch of janky stuff they can do. If anything, they're just actually a relatively durable body in Eldar with a better armor save than most. They could just go park on an objective. Whereas a Banshee, just like, I will lasgun your Banshees to death, sir. Like, you cannot stop me. They do not have the power to be stopped. And then when they fight like a Space Marine, they kill 1 with their full unit of 5 on average. It's tragic. Their data sheet just needs more oomph. Apart from that, I think arguably they got worse. Undeniably, I think they got a little bit worse, especially Fugin, who is just auto take one of the best characters.
Shouldn't it be Fugin the way it's spelled?
Fugin? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm Australian. I don't know shit. But yeah, if you get Fugin, whatever, he's ubiquitous. 15 points is just everyone's just going to pay 15 more points to that guy. He could be 150, and you still see most people just being like, 100%. Yeah, whatever, whatever. He's busted. But yeah, arguably, I think they got a little bit worse, but not enough to touch the sides, in my opinion.
Yep, I would agree with that for sure. There's, like I said at the beginning, this Eldar are always going to be good. You can point them into the sun. It doesn't matter. They have such a deep codex and a lot of dedicated Eldar players. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah. There is something to be said. I mean, whenever Eldar gets absolutely punted and people think they're dead and then they're not, everyone always assumes it's because GW didn't do it enough. But I've heard many an Eldar player, of course Eldar players would say this, being like, well, we're just better players than other people, so we find ways to keep playing the game well. And of course, I want to slap them in the face and just like, that makes me sick. But I mean, it's not wrong at some points in the game, it's not incorrect that dedicated Eldar players and the way that Eldar is innately built to play the game is kind of just consistently good.
Right.
But anyway, demons unfreaking changed, my dude.
They got a lot of points drops the last time. Like,
Correct. But looking at this without any points changes and with the meta changing around them, and then the new extension, and we're not going to talk about new codexes coming in yet. Did they get better, worse, and what do they look like now?
in terms of where the meta is now, I think they got a little bit better because of some of the nerfs that came to one of their predators, which honestly, I think guard was actually one of their problems, and guard's not so much of a problem for them anymore.
I agree. Yeah, I genuinely agree. How did you feel about them into Necrons and Custodes?
Necrons, they actually can do well into the depending on their build, obviously, but they can do well into Necrons because they have some really strong characters that can snipe out
Mm.
Technomancers in the Wraiths, and it's an interesting fight between them and Satans. I'm actually not sure who wins those fights. I think the demons do normally.
I did once see 2 units of race get stuck on a 4+, feel no pain, great unclean one in turn one. It was still there in turn 5.
Makes
the,
sense.
the problem was that they were controlling the objective, and the player was just like, "Ah, it's fine, whatever. I'll just take my 5s and 15s. It doesn't matter."
Of
Um,
course.
but yeah, they literally just, like, did no damage to each other hilariously. I think they got slightly better. The same as you. It's probably like a 10, 15 points just for the meta getting less powerful around them. And yeah,
Mhm.
I do agree. Guard was a problem. I mean, Bellacore did make guard a little bit awkward because we've not being able to use in the Shadow Chaos, not being able to use the indirect. But the fact that they just picked up the units with a relative ease, had the nonsense to go and get in the way and roadblock them at the same time. It was a bit of a rough draw. And I always thought Custodes was an awkward one for him as well.
Custodes? Yeah, no, I can see that. I think that one's a little bit more of a fair fight. The demons player has
It
to
is.
play it a little bit better than the
Yeah.
Custodes, I think.
All right, moving on to Chaos Knights. No changes,
No changes. So I
which
mean,
I think is just it means that to me, that means they got better.
yep, for
I
sure.
just think that means they got better. Their best list is still, 11 War Dogs and some Demons. And it's still a very good list, still extremely powerful. Sorry, it's 12 War Dogs or whatever. It's a number of small knights that go, and they're just frustratingly amazing chassis to be spammed out.
Yep.
Um,
It's like the 11 Lehman Russes. Wait a minute.
Funnily enough, they didn't. I mean, in the teams we just played, our matrix was saying that Chaos Knights don't particularly struggle with the tippy top of the meta. They struggle with the middle of the meta somehow, like just like versus like Iron Marines and things that could just like skew pick up 4 or 5 knights in a turn. Um,
Mm, yeah,
Whereas like they actually had decent games into Necrons, decent games into Guard, decent games into a couple of the other top factions. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
I like it. I like it. I feel like they do actually have a really good uh, comp into a team comp because of what you're saying. Like they're good into like the better armies, the mid armies, sure, but that's why they don't do well in singles because they'll run into way more mid armies.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. But yeah, overall, I think Chaos Knights undeniably got a little bit better,
Yeah, for sure.
just by dint of the meta getting less powerful around them. Chaos Space Marines. We have a couple of changes. Chaos Bikers going down. Terminators, Vindicator going down. Actually, every single Vindicator chassis in the game, all the Space Marine ones went down. Also, um, Cultist went down. Cypher went down. Who cares? Havoc's Hellbrute. Both Demon Princes, Legionaries went down.
That's weird.
Mauler Fiend, Possessed Raptors, and Corn Berserkers all went down. I want to come back to this because this is undeniably a buff, and we have literally this morning we just had announced that the Chaos Space Marine Codex is on its way. We're going to have it probably in our hands in about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And with these points, if that thing is like anywhere comparable to the Ork book, these points are scary.
I think it's gonna be comparable to the Custodes book with these points changed. Like this is ridiculous.
It is pretty good. I do think they needed they so I think, and I like seeing this because I think this is an acknowledgement that they were too heavy-handed last balanced star slate because of
Right.
course we rarely see the true holistic quadruple nerfing of a faction that is a top faction,
Mhm.
especially when Eldar was like stats wise better than Chaos Space Marines and didn't cop anywhere near the nerfs that Chaos Space Marines copped
Right.
in that same MFM and balanced star slate, because the points got raised on just about everything relevant in the army, in addition to a amazing amount of stratagem and rule support just being straight up removed or gutted. Um, and so this is an acknowledgement that maybe the points that they did at that time were too much. I mean, they do still acknowledge that if they ever put the points down on Chosen, we are straight back into Terror Town, and it's the worst thing ever. Same for Cursed Cultists and stuff. But dude, Legionaries for 80 points. I was talking with some lads about this yesterday, and regular Firstborn Crusaders for Black Templars
Yeah.
and how they're now 85 points.
Yeah.
because they went up, and that's a bit of a foreshadowing. But Legionary is now 80. And legit, like I would consider running like here are 3 rhinos with 6 units of 5 legionaries in them, because
The
I
the new
reckon they're
Plague Marines.
sick. I reckon they're sick, man, for 80 points.
Yeah, they absolutely could be. I think they're already worth it.
Absolutely.
People were
Yeah.
taking them before at 90 points, or not 90.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 90 points, but they were taking them before. So I don't think that's gonna. The Codex is scaring me because of these point changes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah.
one or the other. It's either gonna be really good and this is terrifying, or it's gonna be like Custode's like, all right, well, I'm sure somebody will figure it out, but it won't be for a little while.
Mate, they're getting like 8 detachments. Surely.
Which is
Surely
ridiculous.
there's some gas.
Surely one of them is good for Legionary,
Yeah,
right?
right. Surely, right. One of them is. 10 points on bike is actually like as well, because I saw most lists I've seen for Chaos Space Marines lately is 3 to 4 units of Legionaries with some cultists, or maybe sometimes it's 1 or 2. But everyone's taking like 2 units of 3 bikers because they're just really good utility pieces, and so just getting 20 points just there is nice. So arguably Chaos Space Marines got better, but hell, they were drop punted into the sun.
But
so.
I mean, like, let's talk about the real hero of this change here. That's Cypher. All right, so
I don't even know what he does.
he's finally under 100 points. Like, oh my god, he's going to be in every list.
Is he loan up?
I have no idea. I'm fully being sarcastic.
You are fully memeing right now. Thanks, mate. All right, Death Guard. One change, the Hellbrute went down 10 points because they're trying to be consistent with all Hellbrutes and all Vindicators across, all those chassis go down at the same time. Apart from that, unchanged. But these guys are a big beneficiary to, I believe, Guard getting touched up, and Necrons getting somewhat touched up. Even though I thought they had not a horrific game into Necrons as some others do. They could brawl in the middle with them better than most. But I was always happy to see Death Guard across from me when playing Guard.
Really?
How do you feel about him? Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good matchup.
Even with like Morty in there, I think that was actually probably better with Morty, I guess.
Yeah, well, if they keep Morty back and just use him to try and have an indirect game versus me, that's fine too, because his indirect doesn't hurt my indirect, and all I do is just get all the Plague Marines out of the boxes immediately, and then hit him with Earthshakers, and then I just get 15s while he's like, "Please let me fight you, sir." I'm like, "No,
no," I said,
"No." Walk away. And also, they're not great. Funnily enough, Plague Marines are not great at fighting. Without smashing the windmill slamming the grenade button. They aren't amazing in combat versus Borgren with the -1 damage for up involved. They just kind of are all 1 damage. But yeah, how do you feel about Death Guard? Did they get better, worse, and what do they look like now?
I mean, Death Guard obviously got better because,
100%.
especially if you're saying that Guard was one of their problems.
Well, that's just my experience of playing as Guard. Yeah, it could not be the norm.
I can see it. No, I feel like that's actually going to be a big thing for them. But what were some of the really big predators for Death Guard? Because Death Guard are one of those armies that always score. Like, they're really hard to deal with if you play them correctly, right? And if you build them correctly. I think I've talked about this. I talked about it on my podcast, where Death Guard don't necessarily need like an expert player, but they need an expert list builder. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I could say it. I think that's a really, really cool thing for Death Guard at the moment. And like I said, yeah, when the top margin gets hit, the middle benefits.
For sure.
Drew freaking Kari unchanged, which they got a hellacious points reduction, and they got a brand new detachment, a brand new lease on life. So GW might be sitting back waiting for a little bit more data on this before they decide where any problems are therein. But for the most part, I think the points are relatively good. Well done for Drakari at the moment. I don't see any real major offenders that I think are overcosted at the moment, unless you can think of any, mate.
I don't think so. No, I mean they're already a little harder to use for people, but
Yep.
at this point, they got a bit better because, again, Guard going down. Eldar was an interesting matchup for them because of the MSU battle, but I feel like the Guard would be the biggest thing for them, just like a lot of, and even Necrons would be a problem for them too. But like I said, Necrons didn't exactly get
Yes.
touched bad enough. But I think Drakari are fine. Like they're not.
Fine.
Let me rephrase. They're in the same spot they were before the slate.
Yeah. Yep. Essentially. And once again, like we said, the overall damage and oppressiveness of the meta went down a little bit. So this is an interesting discussion. So Scourges in Drakari are extremely necessary, ubiquitous, fantastic, a necessary thing you have to have. They do something that is very hard to do in Drakari outside of a Ravager, etc., etc. And the fact that they can do it from safety, from Deep Strike, crazy good. But what they add to the Eldari soup pile of Yunari is, I think, over the top and extremely ridiculous. It's one of the things that puts that army into the damage stratospheres. It levels them up hellaciously. And so this is one of those times where I'd be like, man, I wouldn't be unhappy if Scourges in Drukhari went up. Sorry, went down 10 points, but then Scourges in Yunari went up 20 points. Because I think I want.
You know what? That's an interesting concept too, because that makes a big difference.
Huge difference. Huge difference. I like, because Scourges in Drukhari are so needed and so necessary, whereas them in Eldar is just like, please don't. Why did you do this to me? Anyway, moving on. It's your time to shine, baby. Gene Stealers. Gene Stealer cults. Tell me the story.
Okay, so Aberrant's going down 5 points, literally 1 point a model. It's kind of like, thanks. That's nice. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it because they're a little bit cheaper and they were in a lot of lists. So great. They went down a point. Sure. That's kind of like they're trying to satiate all the GSC players that are complaining with that for a while. And all right. Ridge Runner's going down 10 points. Hell yeah. Oh, I love that.
I agree.
That is just that is juicy. Juicy, because they are literally in every single GC they're called list.
Yeah.
It's just a free 10 points in every list now. Like, is it going to make a big difference? No, but I don't care, man. That it's in every list.
Yeah,
I'm going to freaking take it. So I think that's incredible. Now, the biggest things for me, aside from the Ridge Runners, obviously, because Ridge Runners are great, I had, if you know me, you follow me, you know that I love my trucks. Trucks are finally under 100 points again.
Yeah.
It took forever, but they are finally under 100 points. They are 90 points again. Oh my God, is that ever beautiful? And the grinder went down 25 points and it's 130 now. 130 is reasonable. I'm much happier.
Yeah. I don't love looking at those two next to each other though. Like, okay, I can have a truck for 90 or I can get one decent gun nearly for 40 more points. Like,
well,
with less transport capacity, right?
Yes, it's only 6 transport capacity. It is open top, which I keep forgetting. Well, it has firing deck 6. Sorry, it's basically
it's a truck, man.
But it never was before. It never was before.
Yeah, I know.
But that's a big deal, and I feel like because the big thing with that is when you charge with them, they're basically a free grenade strat too, which is also really nice. They're a decent melee threat with a bit of staying power. I love Rock Grinder. I think 1 in the list is sometimes 2 can be a little clunky, but sometimes 2 is actually really good if you build it right for it and use it.
Fair. Right. Overall, better, worse?
Oh, obviously
much better.
Much better. Like GSC are actually in a much better spot than they were before this slate.
All right, Grey Knights, Librarians and Tech Marines up 10, Dread Knights up 10. GMDKs didn't get touched, which I thought was surprising. So the regular Dread Knight did, but the GMDKs didn't. And then every power armored model is down 1 point per model, so down 5 points per 5. I think this is really good for Grey Knights, funnily enough. I actually don't think they changed much at all. In fact, maybe it's just 1 less Dread Knight overall, with be that like you're going from 6 down to 5, and then you can just fill out with like bodies, just interceptors. One to two, maybe taking 2 units of strikes now instead of 1. Maybe it's 2 units of interceptors instead of 1. Those kind of things. I think you just keep going about your business. What was good and impressive about your list is still intact, and I think it's still extremely powerful in this meta.
Yeah, I don't think it really changed that much. Like going up 10 points, just only thing it changes is the Dread Knight spam. It just means one of the supporting pieces you had of that will go away, or it changes from a Helvern to strikes. Like
man, I think power armored Grey Knights are amazing at these points. 120 for 5 strikes, I think is great. 125 for purifiers. I actually really quite rate purifiers. I think purifiers are sick, especially with my man Crow. But it's very, very good in the MSU meta where you deep strike 3 inches away and just annihilate every Eldari in the zip code. Just like, dead, get out of here. Interceptors are, I think, a very necessary piece as well. It's like you need something to go and chuck on an objective when you don't want to use a Dread Knight. So I think they're very necessary. I think Grey Knights are in a great place, and overall, I think they kind of got better because of the meta going down around them. And funnily enough, I think they're not going to be one of the laggards into the Ork meta either, because they play keep away better than most. And then when the Orks do close, we know well, it may not be ubiquitously true, but up until this point, one of the known factors and known quantities about orcs is that they don't love 2+ armor saves, and you have army-wide 2+. So that could just be something you're able to fall back on.
That's true. That's true. I feel like they're fine. They're in a good spot, right? Because orcs, they're not. They're not. I'm actually thinking. I want to see that fight. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I like the fact that they can just play keep away anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was thinking about it.
orcs, unless they're playing dread mobs, orcs are going to give you premium mists of Demos every turn.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Nothing they can do is stop that. It's like, okay, what you do? What you're going to do? I'm going to keep running
Yeah.
at you. I don't care. So
Yeah. So you just get to mess around with them. Anyway, Imperial Knights up next, like Chaos Knights, completely unchanged. And they're probably, same as them, 10 to 50% better because the top of the meta went away. They didn't love Necrons whatsoever. Knights did not. So regular Knights did not love Necrons. Sort of like the Nightbringer was just such a house versus them. You have to one-shot him or he one-shots you. But how do you feel about him, mate?
which one? Sorry, I forgot what.
Imperial Knights.
Oh, I think you said we're talking about a specific knight.
Yeah, no.
I'm
Sir
there-
Galahad.
It's Galahad. So Galahad. All right, cool. Now I know exactly what you're talking about. But I feel like Knights are it's the same as Chaos Knights, right? They're no
Exactly the
worse,
same.
no better. I don't think any of their real predators. Well, they don't. Everybody's a predator. I'm sorry to the Imperial Knight players, but everybody's kind of your predator right now. So I'm not really, unless you think are Imperial Knights in a spot that they can actually do something right now. Tell me honestly, Adam.
No.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So like they're in the same spot. They couldn't.
Sorry. They're pretty much in the same spot.
They had no standing before. They have no real standing now. I'm not saying you
Yeah.
can't win with them. I'm just saying you're a Chad if you can.
Absolutely. Leagues of Votan up next. Points reductions on Hearthkin Warriors by 10 points per 10. So that everybody pretty much just got 10 points. Some people got 20 points, so they're still playing with the Sagittar spam. And Uthar, the Destin, went down 10. No idea what he does. Don't care. I think overall, though, Votan is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the meta nerfs to the top end. Because most of their predators exist at the top end. They play very fair 40k. They're one of the fairest 40k armies we've seen and we have in the game at the moment. Whereas they struggle into the unfair armies very, very poorly. Like Lone Up, Necron Wraith are a nightmare versus them. And as a playing the guard, I relatively enjoy the Votan game. I think it's relatively good. I'm playing unfair 40k. They're playing fair 40k. It sounds good to me. How do you feel about Votan?
They're like you said, 10 points in every list, maybe 20 if they're doing the real spam, but it won't change too much for them. Their predators they were already not winning the games with the ones that got nerfed, and I don't think the nerfs to them are going to change this. So like you said, so like this is the same. It's fine.
Yeah, I think arguably they're a little bit better than where Demons, Knights, and Imperial Knights were. Maybe they're 15% better.
Yeah, because there'll be a few less things in those armies that they were dealing with. Yeah, exactly. and they do like playing a points game because, like you said, they're going to have trouble to kill these things.
All right, Necrons up next. Nightbringer and Void Dragon up 40 and 20 respectively. Catacomb Command. So first up, I'm pissed off. Anything in Necrons went down.
Yeah, it's true.
Only up, no down, please. I wanted to struggle a little bit for a little while. Catacomb Command Badge down 20, Chronomancer up 15, Death Marks and Flayed Ones down. Illuminous Azeris up 15, could have been 50 for all I care. Immortals up 1 point per model. Monolith up 25 to still just fine. Ophidian's down 10, Plasmancer up 10, Scorpex and Scorpec Lord down. That's actually very interesting. And I'm hearing some Necron players already being like, ooh, it's a spicy meatball. Technomancer up 25. Thank God, once again, double it. Up 50. Let's go. They still get taken.
Put it up to 150 points.
They still get taken, mate. Transcendent Catan up 10. This is a tale of two coins. And one coin being that they went up. They did go up. 40 points on the Nightbringer is huge. It's big. That's actually irrelevant.
Yep, that one's relevant. I like that one.
And 25 points on Technomancer is irrelevant. Illuminous Azeris, a lot of the buff pieces, a lot of the combo pieces did go up, but the base unit that made all of this busted, the Wraiths, did not go up. And I have to say, WTF. Absolutely, what is that about?
Yeah, and that's the tale of this too. Like when I said at the beginning, Necrons didn't get touched. You're literally they lose a Doomstalker. Everything that's good in their list is still there.
The Doomstalker didn't go up either, by the way.
No, yeah, it didn't go up, but they just kicked one out because they had one in there, and that's like exactly the points they need, and they're fine, done. That's
Nothing
it.
changed.
Nothing
Absolute.
changed.
So you're telling me we just went through 3 months of the worst nonsense imaginable in the hopes that we would not have to go through another 3 months, and GDub's like, nah, we'll
Yeah,
do it
I.
again.
This is why I always say points will not fix balance.
Yeah.
It can never do it alone.
It
Cannot.
can't be the only lever you pull. I
It
do agree with
cannot.
that argument. It has to be one of a package. With the complexity of the game that we play, points cannot be the only balancing metric. The game is
If you're
too wacky.
putting up all these big scary things that are in the meta right now, like wraiths, the satans. But sorry, not the wraiths. You didn't put the fucking wraiths up. But anyway, the satans that went up and the technomancers that are leading a unit that apparently is not a problem. The issue is you can put them up so many points, but unless the list that is winning everything is just those things, it will not change anything. It just means, oh, now I don't have one extra piece to score the secondaries that I don't need the piece to do it with.
So this is my argument. This is my biggest issue, I think, is the ways in which Guard and Necrons have been handled. Just so we're clear, Guard are not putting up anywhere near the numbers that Necrons are.
Yeah,
As in, on every trackable metric that we have in this great game that we play, Guard are not putting up the same numbers that they are. They got hit harder, and in the way that they got hit, the hits Necrons should have gotten.
Yes.
And Necrons got the hit Guard should have gotten. Necrons got hit to all their combo pieces and all their support characters. It's exactly the hits that Guard should have got. And Guard got hit on all the actual freaking units, which are the hits that Necrons should have got. It actually is a total reversal of what I believe should have happened, or what would have made more sense to me at least, because of course I don't know what they're operating under. And here is my copium. Here is my one Adam taking a thimble sip of the copium. If this balanced data slate was not written to appease us, it's not written to appease the masses. It's written to guarantee the next 3 months of the game with the injection of an extremely powerful predator in Orcs, and possibly with 8 detachments, an extremely crazy strong Chaos Space Marine faction, then it behooves them to maintain the strength of Necrons and the strength of some of these other factions we're going to get to, like T-Suns. It behooves them to keep strong factions in the game. Otherwise, the game could just freaking die. Bully boys hit the table and we're like, why are we playing this game? Only Orcs can win. Congratulations, Adam. You get to stream Orc mirror matches, and I will literally buy a hammock and retire. If that is the vision that they have, I'm on board. I'm on board with that vision. I'm on board with that.
That's some forward thinking, man.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying real hard because I was at such a.
That's on the level of dust being bald, my friend. I'm not sure how far we can go down this rabbit hole.
I was pulling my hair out with these changes, just being like, none of this makes freaking sense after the 3 months we just went through. On every viable metric that we have, wraiths should have been punted into the sun and deleted from the game for the betterment of the game, because they are a toxic element. They're an absolutely disgusting element of the game. But at 110 points for 3 nigh on unkillable for some army models that can take 18 of, it just makes you sick. But the only hope is they're like, oh well, we need to keep things strong, otherwise Orcs end the game. There's only Orcs. Did Necrons actually get worse? Can we say that Necrons got 5% worse, 10% worse at all, or do we have to just be like, nah, saying they're exactly the same?
I mean, they're not better, but no, I don't think. It's hard to say that they get worse. It's because they did, but did they get worse enough?
Yeah.
I can't not say they didn't get worse. They got worse. They did get point increases. And they did get point drops as well, but they got point increases. And there are things that they're going to take. So yeah, they got worse, but is it going to be noticeable? No.
Yeah, absolutely not. All right, moving on to Orcs. Otherwise, I will start going more grey. Beast Boss and Squeaksaw down. Someone was saying that these points are reflective of the points in the back of the new Ork Codex, or they're saying that these points changes for some reason were invalid. But anyway, I don't know what that was about. So if they are, please apologize. Beast Boss down by 20. Beast Boss Squeaksaw down 35, which is in keeping it's the model's change in modality, as it now is much reduced in durability, but it's no longer a standalone character. It joins Squeakog Boys. Big Mecha Mega Armor up 15. Thank you. Thank you very much. Flash gets down 15 because Badrock is no longer there to actually make them relevant. So they could probably go down another 10 and maybe they'd be considered. Mech Guns down 5 is spicy. Mozrog down 30 as well, in keeping with the Beast Boss Squigosaur. Regular Knobs down 5.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Spicy. And then Shock, Jump Dragster, and Squighog Boys. Squighog Boys down 35, which actually is very interesting that they are actually very cheap at the moment. So that is because it's a unit of 4 now. So that's 250 for a max unit. And then, of course, you can attach your Squigosaur of choice for what, 380 for that package of a full 8 Squighogs and the Beast Boss. And yeah, that thing is kind of terrifying to a lot of different matchups. How do you feel about Orcs? And of course, we're going to be talking with this, with the Codex bearing down on us.
Well, are we talking before the Codex or with the Codex?
We got to talk with the Codex, right? Let's
Okay.
not let's make this more worthwhile the week from now to listen to than otherwise, right?
Yeah. So let's be honest here. They're scary. They're going to be a problem.
Mm.
They are. Man, are they scary? Like
They're terrifying.
they are terrifying, and the fact that Knobs went down and Mega Knobs did not get touched, the Bully Boys detachment is going to be terrifying. The Green Tide detachment is going to be terrifying. Everything in the Orcs Codex can be terrifying.
Yeah, totally agree. I totally agree. I think Orcs are looking like they're going to be the new absolute terror. As everyone already knows, you already know this, guys.
Oh.
We've seen all the previews, all the reviews already, and yeah, get ready for the new S tier King of the Meta. It's going to be Orcs until Chaos Space Marines come around, and we'll see what happens there. Maybe we have a little bit of duality at the top, hopefully. But yeah, Orcs absolutely gangbusters at the moment. Buy, stock buy. Space Marines, Assault Intercessor with jump packs down 5. They are extremely attractive at 80 points for all your utility and even objective clearing needs. All the Black Templars Gladiator variants and actually all their vehicle variants, with the exception of the Pulse Executioner, went up 5 points just for the cost. You get to have a multi-melter now. You're going to pay another 5 points. Not enough. Straight off the cuff, not enough. Brutalis Dreadnought down 15. Mephisto. So this is all the Space Marines chucked into one. So we're just going to talk about them as one. Crusader squads, the non-Primaris Crusaders up 10. They're now 85. Legionaries are 80. Is what I was talking about before. So they're 5 points more. And I think the Legionaries are extremely attractive for 5 points less. A bunch of Dreadnoughts went down. Death Company Intercessors went down 10. Death Company Marines up 10, and Marines with jump pack. So both Death Company, up 10 each. Deathwing Knights down 20. Deathwing Terminators down 10. There's some very interesting stuff there. Eliminators up 10. And a bunch of other stuff. I could go. This is just going to go on forever. Holy crap! It actually just goes on forever. Wolfguard Terminators, Wolfguard Scouts down 10. Vindicator down 15, and keeping with the Chaos Space Marine one as well. Tactical. Get this, mate. For 140 points, you could have 10 god awful dog tactical Marines. Aren't you just so happy? Tactical Marines down
there are a
20
lot
points.
of firstborn players out there, man.
I feel so bad for them. Storm Raven up 20. Sanguinary Priest jump back up 10. Sanguinary Guard down 20. 155 for a unit of Sangard is actually not unattractive. Promos Sword Brethren up 10. So we're jumping around a little bit here. Oh boy. Lion L. Johnson, only 300 points for a useless model, and it hurts me so much.
Yeah, I wish he was better. I really do.
Let's just go through. Okay, Vanilla Space Marines, mate.
Uh-huh.
Better, worse, and what do they look like now?
Vanilla?
Vanilla's
better. Like all the nerfs came to specialized one, aside from the Eliminator squad.
Yeah. I legitimately think Vanilla Marines are better now. I actually really like to change the jump pack assault.
Ultramarine Vanguard list, it's better.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. I think the change to jump pack assault intercessors is actually really relevant. Black Templars players were already saying, well, we're just going to drop our Crusaders now because for 5 points less than you did 5 Crusaders, and I don't have to pay for the Rhino, I just get 5 assault intercessors with jump packs. It's sick. I'll take that every day.
It's better, unfortunately.
Perfect exchange.
Because I love the sort of. I don't know. Black Templar got a lot of hate.
Well, the thing is, that's the issue, right? If you were taking regular Crusaders now, they're unattractive at 85. If you just take out one package of some people would possibly taking, 4x5 regular Crusaders in Rhinos, you take out one of those packages, you get 3 squads of assault intercessors with jump packs, and you cover the points changes mostly. Yeah. Maybe it's two assault. Anyway, you just take their points in assault intercessors with jump packs, and you cover the points changes, and you just go about your business again. It's actually not enough. Nowhere near enough hits to Black Templars.
No. I mean, 5 points up on all the different gladiators. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that and once again, I love that the Crusader squad, the regular old 5 firstborn Crusaders, got hit harder than any of the problematic
yeah,
as hell tanks.
like
It's hilarious.
what?
Absolutely hilarious to me. Yeah, makes no sense. Promo Sword Brethren up 10 is, I guess, enough of a hit that if you were spamming them out, that is going to be 30 points, sometimes 40 points, depending if you're taking a 10 to
Yeah, I
5s.
don't know if that changes much for that, to be honest.
Maybe it changes. Maybe I lose 5 out of my either Gladius and or a Firestorm and or a Vanguard that had a 10-5-5. It might be 10-5 now. And
Yeah,
maybe it's still just fine. I think 150 for that squad's still very, very doable,
yeah,
very
that's
worthwhile.
fair. Like, I mean, they're good. So
They're very good, very, very good. They're chosen. They're just
yeah,
chosen.
exactly.
But yeah, Blood Angels did get hit, but
They
once
got
again,
hit.
I don't think they got hit
No,
enough to make them palatable. I think they're still an extremely good option. All the Death Company going up 10 points for 5. I think that's you just have to find your points to account for that.
Yep.
Once again, if you wanted to, you could switch some units with like 1 unit Death Company. If you were to switch 1 unit Death Company from 5 Death Company jump pack to 5 Assault Intercessors with jump pack, you save 60 freaking points. 60 points, and you just go about your business.
you're just giving everybody the value on how to make their list now, how to make the list changes. This is great content for you guys. I hope you're appreciating it.
It's it. But anyway, yeah, I think, funny enough, I think the Eliminator change is, like you said, the most impactful one to the Ironstorm.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just drop the Eliminators if you want, and then you get another tank, I think. Like 2 units for Eliminators and an Impulsor, go away from your list. You're like, okay, I guess I get another Gladiator.
I don't know. It's 5 more points,
squad.
man. It's 5 more points. You might not be able to afford it.
That's wild. All right. Space Wolves pretty much stayed the same. Death Watch untouched, which is kind of rough. Dark Angels arguably got buffed, which is nice. Hellblasters went down 10, which is huge actually. So 20 points for a 10-man is actually huge. The Inner Circle Companions are now the same points as Blade Guard, which I guess is a thing you can do now if you really want to. And their Terminator variants went down as well. And I actually think that makes quite a lot of their units actually quite palatable. Deathwing Knights down 20 points, 215. And first turn deep striking a captain and 5 Deathwing Knights onto an objective, just being like, lol, this is going to get me 20 points this game for 4 5s on this objective. You can't really go and stop me. I think is quite attractive. Any other Space Marine factions we haven't talked about?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but did they? No, not in terms of codexes. Sorry, because
Fair.
I guess we weren't going to talk about Imperial or Crimson Fist or
No, I'm not. Tower Empire. Unchanged, because these will be Codex points, pretty much. How do you feel about Tower Empire's place in the meta at the moment? Are they getting better, worse, better, and what does it look like now?
I believe they are definitely getting better. The builds for them are going to look a little different than they were before, and it's a little scary for me. But I think Tau was always really interesting when they entered the meta because they're an army that does one thing really well. And now with the psychic phase, the one thing they never interacted with being gone,
Yeah.
that's one less thing the Tau need to worry about, and they're just good and better than most armies in every other phase except for fighting. But because they're so good at moving,
They don't need to
fine.
fight.
They don't need to fight.
Yeah.
They just shoot you. And they have some really good profiles for really good points cost right now.
I'm worried about Tau. I think they're going to be a problem. They're another one where I think they might be necessary going into this future meta, that they are a strong faction. I think Breaches right now at 90 points for 10 are absolutely cranked.
that is ridiculous.
Absolutely not okay. They are everything I want in a guard army as well.
They should be the same cost as a Gladiator Reaper. They should.
Yes,
calling
they
it
should
right
be.
now.
They're virtually the same. Strength 6 twin linked. Let's go. Yeah, I think they are absolutely cranked. I think Ghost Kills and Riptides are absolutely cranked. I think Tau, and this, I mean, I'll put it out there. When reviewing the Tau Codex, we called it relatively mid, like 1 very good detachment and 2 mid detachments, and then the Crute, who the hell knows. They might be a lot stronger than we thought. They might be a lot stronger than they appeared on first read,
Mhm.
and they might be extremely, extremely strong going into this new meta. And I think they are one to watch, guys.
Yep,
Absolutely one to watch.
100%.
All right, jumping over to T Suns. Absolute head scratcher moment. Does
Yep.
GW just not know that T Suns are good and that T Suns are problematic?
They're
Because
not seeing that they're winning tournaments and they're getting like first place scorings and team events. Like
yes,
they're
not
doing
dropping a
nothing
battle
but
point in team
winning.
events. Yeah, nothing
Like
but winning. This is the I would absolutely go out and say this is the true finesse army in the game at the moment. T Suns are one of the hardest armies in the game to wield, to use, and when if things are going badly, you just don't have an army anymore. Maybe you have a Magnus, and that's pretty much that's pretty much it. But a Scarab Cult Terminators went down 15 for 5, so 30 points on a 10. That is very attractive. They were already a fringe pick in some team lists, and they might come back. But it's just so many points when you're spending. It's still so many points when you're spending like 1,200 points on characters, and then you spend 400 points on the Terminators. You're like, well, where's my army?
yeah.
Cultists went down, both Demon Princes went down. Of course, the Hellbrute went down, the Morphine went down, and the Vindicator went down. But I think they got nerfs to their enhancements. Their enhancements went up in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But not enough to touch the sides. I think
No.
T Suns, in fact, got better and
Oh, for sure.
arguably quite a bit better because they're one of their biggest predators, which was Guard, just blowing them off the table if they didn't have an attached sorcerer immediately, because sorcerer gives them the loan up ability. Them getting nerfed horrifically is actually wildly good for T Suns.
Yeah. It's they were already good, like you said, and this is the head scratcher because
Doesn't make sense.
I mean, to be fair, the points that went down are mostly on things that weren't being taken in most lists,
Correct.
but
Correct.
it's still like, why?
I mean, if they had a thing that just read no changes, I would be saying the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
If they had no changes whatsoever, if they stay exactly the same, I'd be like, wow, that's a miss. That is a swing and a miss. Strike one.
Yep,
You
definitely.
guys done goofed. Like they needed some points adjustments.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I also actually correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this like the third data slate in a row, or MFM, sorry, in the road that has dropped the Mahler feed in points?
Yeah, they keep trying.
Just
Like,
put it to
yes.
100, guys. You still won't sell anymore right now. They got to make the data sheet better.
The Hellbrute as well. Hellbrute at 130 and Morphine
I have
at
seen some
140.
Hellbrutes. I have seen some Hellbrutes on the table.
I mean, I've seen a random smattering Hellbrutes in Death Guard just to proc off
Yeah.
the contagions and stuff. Your time to shine, baby. Got Tyranids.
Ooh, Tyranids. See, there's some interesting ones in here. So for this one, Barb Gaunts went down 5. That's fine. I mean, people aren't usually taking them anyway. 5 points isn't going to make a difference either way. Gargoyles going up is still fair. It's only 5 points. And I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do think Gargoyles are point for point one of the best data sheets in the game right now. Like they are actually ridiculously valuable. Especially like, if Tyranids, if
Yeah,
you're playing Tyranids, you have at least 20, probably 30 of them, at least, you're doing it wrong.
agree.
So them going up 5 points, that's fine. I'm still taking 30, like or 40. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
take points off
doesn't matter.
elsewhere. Hive Guard going down 10 points for 3. Yeah.
Who cares?
Like who
Do they,
cares? That's
do they
not,
even do any? Did they do anything at all?
no, they're out of line of sight. They are still paying for their sins too.
Yeah,
The lictors, the regular lictors, let me emphasize that the regular lictors going down 5 points. I don't know why they were still being used. They're actually incredible. So I'm really happy with that. Going down 5 points. 5 points is 5 points. I love it. It buys me 10 more gargoyles. So Psychophage going down 30 points. We're still not going to see many of them, but
I have no idea what it does. I think I played it in like a demo game using the friggin' core box on release and completely forgot it existed after that.
it has an anti-psyker flamer. Its big thing is it has a 6-up feel no pain aura. That's it. That's the big
That's kind of cute.
That's cute. It's
Yeah.
like if you're doing swarm, maybe.
Yeah,
30
maybe.
points cheaper for that. If you're doing endless swarm, yeah, I could see that because I was considering it at 125. I still never took it. 95. I'm like, okay, maybe now I can squeeze it in, but probably not. But there it is. Swarm Lord going down 30 points. He still needs to drop more,
Yeah,
but he at least I would not feel as bad taking him now because he's the reliable way of getting CP for us. He's our Solar in terms of putting him in the list. You
yeah.
get CP every turn, which is nice. And he's a Solar and a Vect. So I mean, he's got
Well,
W's, right?
yeah, sure. 240
Two-
points. Mine's
240
125.
points. Yeah, and that's just comparable, right?
It's sure, same thing.
Maybe if Solar went up, we'd be having a different conversation about the Swarm Lord right now.
I know.
Now, the Tyranid Warriors dropping 10 on the melee and 5 on the ranged. This one's interesting because they were seeing a lot of play when Vanguard was around, like doing the rounds. Vanguard's kind of dropped off. People haven't been playing Vanguard lately. They mostly been going Invasion, Endless, and Synaptic. This is interesting, and it kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion, with the Swarm Lord because Vanguard suffers from lack of CP syndrome, and Swarm Lord is one of the best ways to get some more CP.
Yep.
But the melee warriors are actually really good.
I rate melee warriors. I actually got bad touched by Tyranids this last weekend, and melee warriors went through an entire unit of Bulgrin. Just
they are well, strength 5, -2, 1 damage, twin linked with like 6 attacks each.
Yep.
And you can get +1 to wound if you're in Vanguard, +1 to hit. You got 2s, you're rolling 1s. Like they're efficient.
Dude, the Mad Lad was playing Vanguard and he battle shocked the unit, and so he's +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and they went straight through a full 6-mana Bulgrin.
They would, like, on average, they should actually. It's crazy because one of the biggest draws of the like the melee warriors for Tyranids is because they're only 1 damage, but they have mass attacks with twin linked, and they can get +1 to wound. All this half damage, -1 damage stuff, they don't care. Like, sure, you're still gonna take the same number of wounds, same damage, so I don't care. It's fine. And now they're cheaper. Whew, I'd try some Vanguard lists again, see what it looks like now. The ranged ones, I don't think we've ever seen. Will we ever see them?
No. None of the guns are good, right? None of the guns are good.
No, they're not. Like, they're okay, but for 10 more points, when you can get the melee guys, you do that.
Yeah, great.
Tyrant Guard going down 10 points is interesting because I've actually seen them used in some lists too. Funny enough, I see them using like assimilation lists, which don't laugh at it because it has play, but like they're good for their points. They were already good at 95, 85 points. They're better. They're better. I like them. Zoanthropes going down 10. I love my Zoanthropes. If you've watched my bat reps from years ago, you know that I own 18 of them. I love my Zoanthropes. I'm waiting for the day when I can start spamming them with my horde again. 10 points isn't enough to do it.
No, it's
but we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, it is. Well, they came out and in the index got absolutely smashed up.
They got smashed. Points, right? Yeah. They got smashed. It was not okay.
Tyranids, so your core unit, your freaking gargoyles, like the best unit in your army outside of Biovore, is now more expensive, but a bunch of stuff went down. Are they better, worse, and what do they look like now?
They're definitely better now. Like, I mean, obviously gargoyles going up is going to hurt a little bit, but for those of you that aren't taking the regular lictors, you should, because they're actually really good. I think we've already kind of dropped at least one of the neuro lictors before, but replacing it with a regular lictor now, that'll make up a lot of the points in gargoyles too. Other than that, the list won't change too much unless you're Vanguard. Then you're going to have a lot more points to play with.
Yep. All right, and moving on to World Eaters. Jackals and Corn Berserkers down 5 and 10 respectively. Hellbrute, of course, down 15, and of course,
Maulafine.
Maulafine down another 15. So all the Maulafines in the game, all the Hellbrutes went down 10. All the Vindicators went down as well. The Terminators went down 10 also. And I do think this is another case where a couple of the Predators got hit hard, and World Eaters got a little bit buffed. So I do think they're coming out of this looking pretty good. Maybe they are, another 15%, maybe 20% better. You're not going to get much more in your army. I do like that they acknowledged that the Corn Berserkers weren't the problem. Like, people were only taking the Corn Berserkers as a delivery and insulation method to get a busted as hell Master of Executions into people. So hitting both of them was not necessary. Just take out the Master of Executions. So Berserkers going down, I think, is a good change. Shows that they thought about it. Jackals going down is actually I'm still waiting for some mad lad to go Jackal Horde. I want it to be a thing. Please,
I saw it once. And
somebody rise up. A champion of our people, rise up, Jackal Horde. Let's go.
Please don't.
Demon Prince 4-up in Vuln. Oh, sorry, I think they're only going to 5-up, but who cares? Do it, send it. I think, arguably World Eaters are in a much better place. The Terminators going down is actually interesting as well. I've heard some people be like, just looking sideways out of their eyes, being like, one day maybe, and maybe it's now, maybe it's not. We'll have to wait and see.
For 10 points, well, Well, like you said, the core berserkers weren't the problem, and I don't think that's going to change much. So maybe they'll take out. No, they're not going to take out 8 What am I talking about? No, that's not going to change
No.
much.
No, it's not
I
gonna
was
change
trying to justify, like, nah,
Yeah.
it's the same. Like, I mean, they're in a better spot because of where the meta is, but
Correct. Arguably, the list doesn't really change that much.
No.
Agents of the Imperium, Callous Assassin up 10, Henchman up another 10 only for 4 henchmen, and Karya Draxus up 10 as well. I don't know if they needed to hit Karya. With essentially it was only. She was only really good in Custodes,
Mhm.
where you were making like one whole unit of like very hard to kill already Custody Guard, loan up. She was taken very prolifically in Adeptus Mechanicus as well in AdMech, and AdMech, could really use some spice like that. And so I don't like that this, pseudo hurts AdMech more than it hurts Custodies because Custodies are already getting punted. The henchman change is good. Everyone just taking those 4 henchmen is going to pay 10 more points for it. Maybe we'll still do it. But Voidsmen at Arms are 10 points now, and you get 5 guys instead of the 4. But you get more wounds on the henchman still. And the Callous Assassin up 10 points is probably fine. Right?
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I mean, Callus is going to be in almost every imperialistic
Correct.
because it's just
Yeah.
it's good. Why would you take it?
So good. That is going to bring us to the end of our review of the Munitorum Fiend Manual. Apologies we didn't do it last week, but of course we were on the tail end of the Ork Codex, so that was definitely going to be, finishing up that before we do this. Next week, who knows? We just got announced that the Spiky Boys, the angry Marines, are getting their Codex pretty soon, so it might be that we've got that review dropping for the next 2 weeks.
Butt
Because,
clench.
of course, it being like an 8 detachment release, we're probably going to need 2, maybe even 3 weeks to get through it. But anyway, thank you so freaking much, Dusty. We're gonna score this baby. This Munitorum Field Manual, score it out of 10. How happy are you with it, my man?
Out of 10? Ooh. See, whenever we do these, I'm always overly generous with these. So you know what? I'm actually going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to give this one a 3.
Exactly the same number I was going to give. I'm pretty unsatisfied with this.
I'm very unsatisfied.
I don't think this
And the only
changed
reason it's getting 3
anything.
points is getting 1 point for Ridge Runners, 1 point for Goliath Sharks, 1 point for Goliath Rock Runners.
I was going to give it 4, but they hit gargoyles. So
The gargoyles, yeah. I wasn't even 4 for that gargoyles, man.
I was going to give it a 3 as well. This did not do anywhere near enough to pacify or neutralize the problematic elements of the game. In fact, you could have just not had this MFM, and we could have just gone on pretty much exactly as we were.
Yep.
And
It's not going to feel too different, except for guard players. They're going to feel different.
Yes. Well, I'm as a guard player, I'm not. The optics are extremely feel badsy, but the way guard played wasn't exciting and interesting for me anyway. So I was actually planning to I was planning to go into the direction I'm going to go into now by these changes, regardless.
Oh, we got to talk about that. I'm interested
because
not on here, obviously.
Man, like 15, 16 games in with like the guard singles list, boring as hell, man.
Yeah.
Uninteractive nonsense. It's not how I want to play the game. So I was going to do it anyway, and this is just like.
Well, I guess now I have to.
Now I'm doing it. But anyway, mate, we will talk about that another time. Hopefully, you'll join us over on part 2, and by us, I mean me. And I'm going to take and record at my leisure once my voice is recovered. And hopefully, you guys will enjoy that part 2, where I give you guys a full rundown of my games at the Australian Team Championship this weekend, where I represented my home state of Victoria. I played Imperial Guard, and 6 fantastic rounds coming down to a slobber knocker, butt clencher in the final to see if we took it or not. So hopefully you'll join us over there. And there's a lot, actually, some mental health stuff I'm going to talk to you about as well. So hopefully you'll join us. But Dusty, anything you'd like to plug? I was remiss at the start. I didn't give you the option to plug your studs and your scrubs. So please take it away.
They know me on here by now, right? You're always going to see me at the Sutter Scrub podcast with us, the one and only Scary from Scarredcast. Every Wednesday or every other Wednesday we record, and we usually put the episode out on Thursday. You can see that anywhere that you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, but I can't remember them all, man. There's so many places to listen to stuff. You can search it up. You'll find it. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're in your
all around you. They're rising up.
Rising up. We play the 2 least played factions of the game. Come and listen to us.
I do love that. I love that dichotomy between you guys. Is Drakari less played than Admech?
Yes, it is.
Fair.
I think Drakari is actually the least. No, wait, Knights were the one that was lower than them. Knights were lower, which is weird.
There you go. Well, anyway, there's your appeal, guys. the first and like third least played factions. It sounds much worse than the two.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, we got the two least play. Let's go.
you're an absolute champion. Love you, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. See you next time.
My pleasure. See you later.
Thank you for listening to Art of War Down Under, a content review podcast for Warhammer 40K, hosted by Adam Camilleri, produced by Seamus Ronan. Enjoyed the show? Want your lists reviewed and the content you heard put into practice? Sign up to our Patreon and connect with us online or on Facebook. Just search for Art of War Down Under. Signing out from tomorrow.